Hi, Right Riders. Thank you so much for joining me. Cruz here. In this video, we're going to be looking at the 7 prompts for Common App. And I'm going to be sort of using some handy dandy pens here. I'm going to go with green um, in this video. And we're going to be looking at the different prompts, all 7 prompts, and helping you kind of make a decision and be thinking about, okay, if I have this sort of value and trait, which prompt should I be focusing on? And I encourage you first, right, writers, to, you know, create a rough draft and brainstorm some ideas, because what may happen is you may decide, oh, well, I want to focus on this particular one right here, this prompt. I want to focus on number 3. Well, you focus on number 3, but then you start to write your essay and you begin to realize, wait a second, this isn't looking like 3. Now it's looking like 4. So again, I encourage you to, watch some of the other videos that were created in the channel and really think about the values and the qualities that you embody as a person, and connect, use that to drive which prompt you're going to choose. I would say do not choose the prompt first and then make yourself fit to the prompt. Find out who you are first. And then once you've figured that out, then go, based on what I wrote, it looks like this prompt applies to who I am. So let the prompt apply to you rather than you forcing yourself to apply to the prompt. If you try to mold yourself into the prompt, it will feel very flat and it will not have that rich complexity that you're looking for in a college essay. So again, you don't want to fall flat. You want to be a round character. And that's why I say think about who you are first as a person. Find out those values and qualities that you hold very dear, that you can use examples of from the present tense, from who you are right now, and then apply that to and figuring out which prompt best applies to you. All right, right writers, let's take a look at prompt number 1. And again, I did some videos just kind of looking at them individually, but I thought I would go ahead and do one just as a whole, looking at all of them and making sure that we're focusing on the present tense. So the first one talks about you having a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful. Notice how so meaningful is in there, that you believe your application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story. So first of all, they are looking for you to actually show with concrete examples, show how your background, your identity, your interest, or your talent really has, again, made you who you are, made you the character that you are today. And so that's really what this particular prompt 1 is about. Again, you have to demonstrate it with clear examples, showing how you have grown as a person, or that you are the person that you are today, this character, because of this background, identity, interest, or talent. And again, notice how it says so meaningful, that, again, you embrace, it embraces really who you are because of one of these. And so again, notice how they use the word or. So it's not and, it's an or. And that's letting you know, pick one of these, not more than one. And a lot of times students are like, they misinterpret the prompt. And this is not about you having to talk about all 4 of these. It's background, identity, interest, or talent. So pick one And then again, once you've selected, really figure out who you are. And if you fit one of those four, the background, identity, interest, or talent, then that's one of those four. One of these is going to be the one that you're going to focus on. Hope that makes sense, right, writers, and that I did not confuse you on that. All right, moving on to prompt number 2. So in this prompt, it says the lessons we take from obstacles we encounter can be fundamental to later success. Recount a time when you faced a challenge, setback, or failure. How did it affect you, and what did you learn from the experience? And so in this case, really what you should be focusing on, students, and I think it's interesting how they ask, it looks like it's a throw-in question, but to me, this is sort of like, yeah, this is kind of what you want to be focusing on. You want to be really hyper-focused on how that experience affected you and what did you learn from that experience. So please make sure that you don't just focus on the first part of this essay prompt and then just leave the last part as the throwaway. Really, it's focusing on, it's asking you, first of all, what was the obstacle or the failure, the setback or challenge? Again, notice how they're using the word or right here. And so picking one of these, did you see it as a challenge? Was it a setback or was it a failure? And then once you've made that decision, you really want to focus on this last part, how it affected you. What did you learn from this experience? And so that's really the part that I underlined here, that little question at the end. And really there are 2 questions, and this is a compound sentence. Number 1, how did it affect you? And 2, what did you learn from the experience? So please keep that in mind, right, writers, with this particular prompt. If again, your experience, your qualities match prompt number 2. All right, prompt number 3. This is more, I think, focusing on something that, maybe not too many students have experienced yet because of your, age. But some of you may have had an experience where you have questioned or challenged a belief or an idea. What prompted your thinking? What was the outcome of that thinking? And again, notice how they're putting in these questions at the end, but they're important questions. Please do not think because they're at the end of the prompt that they are not important, because they really are. And for this question, I want you to be thinking about, again, your own thinking. What were some of the outcomes? And thinking about how, when you questioned or challenged this idea or belief, how it changed you as a person. You know how when you learn about conflict and when a character has internal conflict versus external conflict. And so in this case, I think it's less about the external conflict and more about sort of the internal conflict, because it's really, sort of you versus yourself. And I want you to focus more about you and your thinking and the outcome in your life, and try not to focus on how it impacted your family or how it impacted your community or how it impacted your friends. Because the college admissions reader, and again, please do not take this the wrong way, but they're not interested in your family in the sense of like your parents, your grandparents. They're not the ones going to college. You are. So it's really about thinking about it's really about thinking about you. You're thinking the outcomes that you created or the results that involved you, not them. So again, be very careful on prompt number 3 because of that, because there's a natural tendency for students to, make it this sort of this external conflict. And then you're going to talk about yourself, and then you're going to talk about your family. But really, the essay needs to just be about you, not necessarily about them. I mean, I'm not saying that you do not include them. I'm just saying be careful not to talk about more about them and less about you. The college cares about you and who you are and what you bring to that campus. So this one is an interesting one. Again, anytime I see reflect, I'm always like, um, that usually tells me that it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. And so 3 and 4 are both about reflecting. And so in this question, it's asking, reflect on something that someone has done for you that has made you happy or thankful in a surprising way. How has this gratitude affected or motivated you? Again, notice that last question. And notice how the last question focuses on you, not about that other person. And that is something that you will probably want to do. You're going to want to focus how your mom did this for you, or your aunt, or perhaps a stranger did something for you that, again, surprised you. That's not who the focus is on. The stranger is not going to college. Your mom is not going to college. You are. And so I want you to focus on how the gratitude has affected you. How has it motivated you? What resulted from this experience? Please do not make this essay about the other person, because again, it's easy to do that. And you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't want to talk about myself. I want to talk about what they did. And that's going to show what type of person I am to my college admissions reader. No, they want to focus on you. They want to know about you, and they want it to be in the present tense, as present as possible, rather than too far back in your life. All right, I hope that's helpful, right, writers? And again, I'm sorry if I'm going into like teachy preachy mode, and I apologize. That is something that comes out because I am a teacher, and so my teachy preachy voice tends to come out, and I'm like, don't do that. Do this instead. So I apologize for sounding teachy and preachy, right, writers. Okay, moving on to essay number 5, this prompt. Again, remember, you are writing about you and figuring out who you are, figuring out your values, your qualities as a person, and then going back and looking at the prompts and determining which one or two you fit the best. Now, back to 5. Discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth and a new understanding of yourself or others. So this is, again, where you're choosing and focusing on either 1, an accomplishment, 2, an event, or 3, a realization. Please understand, you're not discussing all 3 of these. You are just discussing 1 of these 3: accomplishment, event, or realization. So this is really good if you had sort of earth-shattering moment, and you can really begin to talk about that and your growth, how you grew as a person, and understanding who you are and how you view other people. I know it says, and a new understanding of yourself or others. No, it's really about a new understanding of who you are and maybe how you view other people and how you view the world because of that accomplishment, because of that event, because of that realization. And so that is number 5. And that's what that is about. And usually, again, there's just this one thing. And if you go back to your own life and your values and qualities, and you're like, okay, this was a moment for me that sort of changed the trajectory of my life. If that was, if you feel like you can talk about that for 650 words, again, and you've brainstormed and you have an outline and you're like, I absolutely can talk about this all day, then you know that that is number 5 is a good choice for you. Prompt number 6. So in this one, again, and please keep in mind, right, writers, that I go through each of these in more detail in other videos where I just go through sort of one at a time and I give some ideas. But I really wanted to do one where I looked at all of them together and we really kind of unpack these all at once. All right, question number 6. It's describing a topic, idea, or concept you find so engaging that it makes you lose all track of time. Why does it captivate you? Notice how the focus is on you, and these are important questions. Why does it captivate you? What or who do you turn to? And really, it should be what or whom do you turn to when you want to learn more? So yes, mention the what or who that you turn to, but when you want to learn more and focusing on you, again, please keep the focus on yourself. I know it is difficult. It is very challenging for any human being to just go on and on and on about themselves. I get it, right, writers? I do, because you're just like, oh my God, I sound like, ugh, I feel like I'm just talking about myself and it's all about me, me, me. I get that, especially when you're writing, but the college admissions reader wants to know you. They want to have a snapshot of who you are and what you're going to be like on the campus, and whether or not you're a good fit for that campus. Oftentimes you don't necessarily get your first choice, but maybe your first choice would not have been the best one for you because you would have had to maybe fit yourself to the campus rather than, what you bring to the table already embodies and fits the college campus that you're on. So just keep that in mind too, right, writers? Give yourself some grace. So again, be focusing on you and how you're engaged with this topic or with this idea or with this concept. And this is really good. This is a really good prompt if you happen to, value curiosity. Why does it captivate you? And what are you, what or who do you turn to when you want to learn more? What have you learned about yourself through this topic, through this idea, through this concept? That's something that you want to be thinking about if you decide to choose prompt number 6. And now for our final one, and I did mention this in my video on number 7, is that this one is probably one that students will not choose very often because it's so open-ended. And you can find yourself, trying to figure out what kind of topic you're going to come up with or an essay of your choice. But if you do have some experience and values and situations, perhaps, or experiences, again, concrete examples of something that happened to you, and you're like, look, this one does not apply to me. I did my brainstorming cruise, I did my outline, and I looked back at all of these prompts, and honestly, not one of these 6 prompts applies to what I came up with when I was really thinking and reflecting about who I am as a person. If that's the case, then design your own essay, as it says here. It can be one you've already written, one that responds to a different prompt, or one of your own design. Again, this to me is sort of highlighting, that you're a curious person, and that you are sort of a renegade of sorts, if you will. And maybe that's why number 7 will work for you. Again, not everyone, I mean, maybe you were in, you're a BMX racer or something, or like you had held the record of swimming the English Channel. I don't know. I don't know what you've done. Maybe I'm thinking about maybe you've taken a hiking experience or journey, or ridden your bike across country, or walked across country. I mean, that's something that, again, maybe some of these other essay prompts just do not apply to you. And so again, number 7 is one that is tricky. So be careful and make sure that, again, some of the other prompts maybe can be used for it. And if you have any questions, Right Writers, please feel free to send me an email, and I'd be more than happy to look at it, especially for number 7 if you are struggling. So, Right Writers, I hope this overview of each of the prompts together in one video was helpful. Take the time to figure out who you are first. Determine, figure out what experiences have you had? What values do you bring to a campus? Figure out what those are first, because that will help you determine who you are as a person, and it's going to help you then decide which prompt fits you. Allow yourself, or figure out which prompt fits you, rather than forcing the prompt to fit you. 650 words, Right Writers. And again, I encourage you to think about who you are. Write down. If you have to go through your entire life, start from the present tense and work backwards, or work backwards and start from, and then work your way in a chronological order to who you are now. But when you're writing your essay, you want to go in the other direction. Start from the present and work in the past. But when you're reflecting, you may find it easier to go in chronological order and really start to look at those experiences, Right Writers, that you have had since childhood up until 16, 17, and see if you notice a pattern, and if you notice certain values, experiences that make you who you are. All right, Right Writers, thanks for watching this video. I hope this was helpful for you, and that you are not necessarily, I say that I wish you well in getting to your first college of choice, but I more wish you well in finding the college that best suits who you are. Again, rather than having the college, you trying to fit in the college, make sure that the college fits you. All right, Right Writers, take care. Love you guys. Bye-bye.